Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 29 of the Solo Sesh-A-Thon. Guys, we are here at the end, and it is so crazy. Only one day remaining after this, and it has been such a fun time because just to draw it out on a map, we have traveled from the swamps of the north down through here, discovering Nelsor, coming down through the mountains, discovering Skaldor, the dwarf eater, coming down through here, making our way down to New Light, where a lot of new things are going to be open to the characters, finishing their mission that they originally went on by delivering Windry with Sir Tucker Rose to the Order of Order, making their way back, carousing, then making their way up to the northwest, making their way to the Barrow Mounds, where they successfully delved into one of the barrows. Then the next day, meeting a hill giant who was being pulled by about 14 goblins who invited them back to this their city of Salt Hollow. So then they go there, and it's pretty much a resort, and when they get there they get healed up, and Yarky has now finally gotten some more HP, and that's all happened like pretty much like give or take, or give some, but about 30 in-game days. So about a month of their time has been spent doing this as well. And that's such an interesting thing to think about. Like, I lived my life throughout this month, and I got to kind of live out the lives of these characters throughout this month. And we'll get to that later. I don't want to spend too much time on it now, but I just want to, I'm grateful to have been able to do this and to have been able to make time, even though some of those days were much shorter than others or much less productive in my mind. Each day has gotten me to this point, and that's really cool. So, we pick back up. Actually, I'm going to be doing something that I haven't done before, but something that I think is worth considering at times. So the hex that they are entering into, or were kind of already in, was 103, and I noticed that it's a safe hex, which means it's safe to pass through. And so rather than start a day in a safe hex and make it really reach for engagement with the characters, I went ahead and wrote off that day as kind of they were being escorted by Broad Shoulders, the goblin, and he took them through 103, and now they're about to enter into 202. And so we'll pick right up there with the intro. So the party gather information that makes travel easier through the swamp and head off. Now only one day away from the mysterious mushroom village, they eagerly slosh through the bog. So it'll take an entire day to travel through here. And there's a chance that by the end of it, they will get to lay eyes on this mushroom village. But the party, Broad Shoulders leads them up to this point. He stays with them through the night. They have some questionable meat that Broad Shoulders brought along, but they're thankful not to have to dive into their own rations, because they don't really know what they're about to get into. They really hope that this mushroom village is a safe place for them, and a place where they can learn and just kind of interact with these people, but they are not sure. So they begin the push into the swamp, just gingerly stepping over large trees that have fallen over, and just watching their feet, because I will say there's been if you think about it, there's no way that this travel has just been super smooth through the swamp whenever they've been there. And it stinks, and they are just really, really dirty. So they just got done at this spa with the blood lake, and they feel so rejuvenated, and then they have to go right back out there into it. So they're pushing through, and just to start off the day, we'll have our first encounter check. Okay, so no encounter. Something that also I would say that I don't mention this, but I kind of imagine that they're constantly on watch. Maybe Nelsor is with Mr. Carrots, the pack mule, kind of keeping him calm and walking him through, while the rest of the party is kind of just kind of up in arms, just ready at any second to throw out a magic missile, or for Ulfric to take up a defensive stance to protect his fellow allies. But Eliara is kind of towards the back with Yarki right now, and she just asks him, like, hey, so how are you feeling now that you look hardier, you look more robust, I guess. What really happened? What did you experience in there? And so Yarki kind of thinks about it for a second, and rather than just, if we're gonna roll on the prompt table to see if there's anything interesting we can come up with. If it does, this very well couldn't make sense, but I don't want to write it off before I try it. So 84-12. 84 is protect. 12 is time. So I think that as Yarki thinks back to this time that he had within this salt hut, and with the aroma, the scent of these herbs just wafting up, he had a rough time at the beginning. And I think that part of that was him dealing with his just kind of his own self-doubt. Like, will I be strong enough? Do I hold the party back? Do I really bring anything valuable to this party? And then as it went on later, he started thinking about it. And I would say, like, Madeira kind of appeared to him. Madeira is his god. And so the voice of Madeira called out to him and said, Yarki, my son, protect your time. This time you have is valuable. This time you have is important. And what you're doing and who you're doing it with matter. So don't spend time in your head doubting yourself. Rather, really lean into your strengths, and where you're weak, lean into me. And so that gave him the power to press through this this kind of grueling experience where he's been kind of being forced to stay up all night. And I'll say the next day too, he probably rode on Mr. Carrots through the swamp and kind of got a nap as he could. So he relays this to Eliara, and she very, like, tenderly puts her hand on his back and says, very few people get the privilege of hearing from their God. And you have gotten to hear from your God. You've gotten to speak with an avatar of your God. And I think that means something. And so there is no time to doubt. You should protect that time. And she kind of pats him on the back some more and walks ahead, and Yarki kind of just fumbles along through the swamp in his head for a little bit, just really being grateful for the experience that he had, meeting the people of Salt Hollow, and really just kind of bolstering this weakness that he had, that he didn't necessarily know he had. So that encounter takes a little bit, and Nelsor kind of stomps up through the muck and mud with Mr. Carrots up to Ulfric, and he says, "Aren't you so excited? Aren't you so excited that we're this close to a potential breakthrough discovery of what this disc might be, what the mushroom village could be, what that falling star might have meant?" And let's see, is Ulfric actually excited about that? Yes, he is. Ulfric looks at Nelsor, and he kind of looks back at Eliara and Yarki, and he smiles looking at them, and he says, I've been excited before, but this time my excitement is drawn from the experiences that I'm getting to have with others, not just the experience I'm having myself. So yes, I am excited, and to be honest with you, I'm curious if this could just be something for me. Maybe there's something here that I need to find. I'm not a superstitious type or a religious type, but something feels special here. And he says that because he's referencing kind of his experience previously, where he had this conversation with Eliara climbing the mountain underneath the floating disc, where they kind of just had a heart-to-heart moment of Ulfric not really knowing, like believing in the gods, but not believing that they really interacted with him. And so there's this glimmer of hope and possibility in his eyes of what this could mean. And so we'll roll the second encounter. And there it is. We got a 1. Okay, so let's open up to the encounters. Let's go to the swamp, and let's hope everybody doesn't die after this touching experience where everybody's been really just opening up to one another and having this nice moment. Let's see what happens. 98. Oh my gosh. Roll 2 encounters and combine the results. Hopefully they're good. It would have been cool if the Swamp Shambler, a gorilla, offers you a random magic item, but not quite. Okay. 20, which is 2d4 gnolls patrol through the swamp around their territory. And then 46. Oh, I've been looking at that one. 3d6 mushroom folk tend to trees bursting with dewy fungi. So let's go ahead and roll for the gnoll. So 2, 4. That's 6 gnolls. Wow. And 13 mushroom folk. Okay. How does this actually go down? Okay, so let's roll something for, let's go look at the mushroom folk really quick. And then we'll look at we're at gnoll now, or we're around gnoll. Barbaric, opportunistic hyena folk who range in large packs. And they have a -1 to charisma. I also do think what we're going to end up doing here is kind of doing an interaction between them with the party watching on. Mushroom folk. Lumbering humanoids with spongy, elongated bodies and toadstools on their heads. They have a +0 to charisma. So I'm going to roll for the gnolls really quick on a reaction chart. Okay, well, that's stupid. I never should do that. Okay, wow. So that's a -1 though. So it's an 8. They're suspicious. So the party clocks these gnolls like Ulfric holds a hand up, and the party. I think my phone's just been slipping this whole time. Let's see if I can lift it up. Maybe not. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, Ulfric holds a hand up and he signals everybody to kind of get down. There's a bunch of underbrush, so they all kind of watch on as these gnolls approach suspiciously. Let's roll for the mushroom folk. I'm gonna roll with advantage here, because actually I'm not even gonna roll for the mushroom folk because I have an idea for them. I think it was really kind of it's a bit not auspicious. I don't know. It's kind of what am I opportunity knocked right here, and I'm answering is what I'm trying to say. So these gnolls start approaching the mushroom folk, and the mushroom folk, they're tending to these trees that have this fungi growing on them, and they turn around, and they're a little bit cautious, but there are a lot of them, and so they stand tall, and they make themselves let's see, they're level 3, so they're actually a bit stronger than the gnolls. So the gnolls come over, and there's no communication. Like the hyenas or the gnolls are kind of making these chattering sounds, just kind of trying to just kind of communicate with it between each other. But these mushroom folk aren't saying anything, so they're actually telepathic, and so they're blinded by bright light as well. So you see that they're kind of huddled under these dense trees while they're tending to this fungi, and they talk to these gnolls. And let's just see. I'm gonna roll with. I think since the gnolls are suspicious, I'm going to roll with advantage to see, like, does everything kind of resolve and the gnolls head off? Twist. Okay. So there's a twist. Okay. So what actually happens with twists is you roll on the prompt table. Sometimes I like to think of them, and I have an idea for one if this is just like, if it doesn't make sense, if I can't make heads or tails of it. But we got 383. Trust. Theft. That's crazy. Okay. So the mushroom folk begin to, they let their guard down. And then all of a sudden things like spark up. And you see the party sees spores fly up everywhere. And when the dust settles, all of the gnolls are on the ground and unconscious. So the party thinks about it, and they're like, should we, this seems dangerous. But Nelsor being the kind of one of the primary voices of the party right now, since he's paying them, he begins to he walks ahead. He leaves Mr. Carrots behind, and he begins to walk ahead, and he waves his hands, and he says, hello, fine sirs. Do you all perchance have any relation to the mushroom village that has appeared not 3 miles from here? And they don't respond. And then after a few seconds, maybe like a minute passes, Nelsor turns around and he says, hey, they've invited us to come closer. And Ulfric, Yarki, and Eliara are all just kind of shaking their heads like, I don't know about this. This doesn't seem like a good idea. And Ulfric kind of goes up and speaks to Nelsor, and he says, hey, I'm I just saw what they did to those gnolls. I'm not sure that I want to get gassed by these dudes. And at that moment, he hears a voice in his head, and he says, or the voice says, they were trying to steal our fungus. They were trying to steal our precious crop. And Ulfric kind of looks and he sees one of these passed out gnolls. A mushroom folk is going over and ripping a like this fungus from his hand, and some of the other mushroom folk are gathering up the gnolls, and they start to drag them away. And Ulfric kind of replies in his head, and he says, "What are you doing with them?" And they say, "We're going to return them to the edge of their encampment, not far from here, and make sure they understand that they shouldn't mess with our stuff." And so you see them the 6 gnolls are being dragged off by 6 of these mushroom folk. And one of the mushroom folk that's clearly talking to them at this point begins to approach. And Ulfric kind of holds a hand up, and he says, the mushroom folk says in his head, "Do not fear. My name is Spongecap, and I do hail from the city of the mushroom, but I am not, I guess, a denizen, technically, of the city. I'm more of a cause. I was caused by the city." And he says, I can explain more as we go. And so everybody, like, Ulfric kind of waves the party over and, like, in a hushed tone to them says, "Keep your guard up. I think we're gonna be fine, but just in case, I don't want to let our guard slip for anything." He said something about being a cause. He was caused by the Mushroom City, but he isn't a citizen of it. I don't really know what's going on, but I want to make sure that we're not walking into a trap. And if we are, we hightail it out of here. And so they agree to go with Spongecap, which I should probably write down because I will forget that. So Spongecap, mushroom folk. So Spongecap begins to lead them along with a small batch of these other mushroom folk, and you see they have these large wicker baskets filled with these mushrooms that are kind of like oozing this like purple liquid out of their caps. And he looks at the party and looks at the mushrooms, and he says, "Would you all like some? They're a bit of a delicacy." And he says, "Actually, before I share this, I would like to know, you all, I can sense good intentions on you, but what are your intentions?" And Nelsor sparks up so quickly and says, "Oh, well, we're coming to learn about the floating disc and the Mushroom City and the star that fell, and I have a theory that there's a rift that's formed between the Fey realm and maybe the material realm, and this disc might have something to do with it, along with possibly this meteor that fell." And the Spongecap just starts kind of laughing in his head, and he says, "Okay, calm down. I understand. You all should be allowed into the city, I'm sure, but you can never be too careful. And from what I've heard, I believe you might be correct. Me, my people and I actually were planted. We were born here, but when the Mushroom City appeared, those mushrooms, some of them were sitting next to me, and then some of us, instead of turning into large buildings, instead became people, I guess. He looks at his fellow mushrooms. They all kind of like shake and nod and like throw up their shoulders. And he says, the people have been extremely kind to us and have taught us many things, including cultivating these mushrooms. We've been sentient for but a few months, but it has been very kind of them to welcome us into their society. And he just continues marching ahead. So what I think I'm going to do here as well, just so I'm not leaving you all in the dark, I think I'm going to forego any more. There would technically be 2 more encounter rolls. I can roll them, I guess, actually, just to see. So I'll do both of them at the same time. So there is one more. I'll see what it is, and if it is like, especially like if it needs to be addressed, we will do that, because I don't want to just rob myself of the potential of an interesting encounter. 13. Dense mud gives way into a slushy field of quicksand. Okay, so that makes sense. But these, maybe the mushroom folk, okay, that's a good question. Do the mushroom folk, are they affected by the quicksand? I would assume they are. I'll roll with advantage. Okay, no, but, so that's what the advantage is for. No, but they're aware of it. So they, some of his fellow mushroom folk begin to walk across this this expansive field. It's extra shaded. They're sticking to the shade, and he kind of halts them for a second, and he says, "You all are a bit more dense, physically, not intelligent. You know what I'm saying. With regarding your intelligence, you aren't dense in that way that I know of, but I think that you all will sink in this. So we may need to take a wide berth, but hopefully it won't add too much time, because this way typically is quicker." So he sends his brethren on ahead, and he begins to walk around, and he explains a few things. So we'll just do, because they won't be able to make it to the city in this day, let's see what Spongecap knows about the people. So let's go with a population. We're going to roll a d12, and this will be times 100. So there are around 500 people in the city. What do they call it? What is the city called? Let's go for we'll start with an NPC name generator, and let's see if that gives us, if we can get anything out of that. I'm not going to be married to any name in here, so I just want to see if we can get something good. 11 is 10. 6, Tensen. Tensenden. Wow. 18 is going to be another. Tensendenorg. Okay. That's trash. We aren't doing that. We're going with something with the word stalk in it. I think sounds good. We did broad shoulders. It doesn't matter. We're going with Broadstock. Broadstock is the name of the city, And he actually does say so. The mushrooms, like the dense population of mushrooms here on the material plane, from what he's heard, actually are what caused, or they are a result of the Fey reflection of this realm being like big mushroom city. So, and yeah, we'll say as well that it's a very uniquely populated city where they have a lot of different races living there, and Spongecap would also let them know that like they are trying to return. So they are trying to return home. So Nelsor is vigorously taking notes on this, much more than I am taking notes on this, and he's asking so many questions, just really grilling Spongecap. And Spongecap, to most of his answers, says, "You know what? I don't know. You know what? I'm really not sure. You know what? You should probably ask one of the people who actually grew up there." And then after a while, he reminds Nelsor, he puts his hand on his shoulder, and he says, telepathically, of course, he says, "In your world, I'm something of a baby. So keep that in mind. This is like asking a baby tons of questions. I'm a newborn. I know how to harvest mushrooms. I know how to spore some hyena people to put them to sleep, and I know how to lead, somewhat effectively, my people, but I am not sure anything of their customs. I don't know what they like to eat for dinner, like you were asking about. I definitely don't know about their cutlery, and I have no idea what any of their ritual dances are like. So, my friend Nelsor, you can quit asking me questions." And at that, Ulfric, Yarki, and Eliara kind of chuckle to themselves. Nelsor has a sheepish smile, but he kind of just brushes it off because he really is just so inquisitive. He wants to know everything, and he does ask one question. And it's do the people of the town know about the star? So I will write that down. So do the people of Broadstock know of the star? No, but they have sent people to the north. Send people to the north to investigate. And that's based off of kind of Nelsor's understanding of where things were. He said it should be to the north of where you all are. And at that's when Spongecap says, "Oh yes, well they have sent people up there, but they have no word yet." So they make it up ahead a little bit, and I'll say, so it takes them the whole day to kind of cross through this, but with the guidance of Spongecap, we will end with, as they it's getting really late, and so I'm gonna write end late at night, and this helps them kind of push through the swamp a bit more with them being with Spongecap. And he says, "Look, up ahead, there's Broadstock." And the party sees these massive mushrooms. They look so much bigger than when they were up on the mountain looking down at them. And there are these little purple lights, and they can see that cut into these. It looks like the buildings are built into these stalks of these mushrooms and maybe even up onto the caps. And there's small buildings down below, but it looks to be kind of bustling with people. You can hear music playing, and as they approach, that is where we'll end this session. And guys, that was a really fun one for me. That one was really cool. I think that the tables and the roles told a lot of the story, and this is what it's all about. Just learning as you go and like building something out of what you get, because these mushroom people, wasn't expecting that, but I like them. So with that being said, I think that we will go ahead and in the session there. We have 1 day left. I am hoping, really hoping that I'll be able to record tomorrow for this last day of the Solo Sesh-A-Thon. If I'm not, it's whatever. I'll try to give you guys a recap of it. And then in a few days, I'm sure at some point I will give you kind of a like what next, because this was a kind of a challenge. Like, do I plan to keep doing this? Do I plan to do things differently? And I honestly am not sure right now. So I would love your feedback, what you think I should do going forward. I definitely, I'll talk about it more later. I appreciate you guys watching. It really does mean a lot. I know that these videos don't always get as many views, and that's totally fine, because I set out to do something and I'm doing it. And so I appreciate the likes and comments, and for the people who do watch these who maybe aren't subscribed, I've never said anything about subscribing before. This feels so weird and out of place. But if you are just watching and you wouldn't mind subscribing, that would be really cool, because I don't know. I'm really thankful for all of this, and the subscriptions help because I'm getting closer to 1,000, and that's just a fun thing to think about. But anyway, that was weird. Sorry. Shameless plug. I don't know how to end this now. I don't know how to end it ever. You guys know that. If you've watched it to the end before, you already know I don't know how to end anything. So have a good one. Be safe. Play some solo games. Peace.